And joining in studio now is Mr. Sterling Scott. He is the CEO of GrowLife Incorporated. PHOT is the stock symbol. Sterling, always good to see you.
I'm delighted to be back, Don. Thank you.
Now, of course, your company is probably in one of the most talked about spaces really anywhere in the last several months, the medical marijuana space. And we've been seeing state after state either decriminalize or, like we just saw this week, Vermont decriminalized marijuana. Nevada has permitted dispensaries for medical marijuana dispensing. I mean, this is really something that we're seeing. It's like a complete evolution of the industry. Why don't you tell us what's new?
The landscape, you're right, the landscape in our industry has changed radically, and I think it continues to evolve. And you know, GrowLife, I have enough things to, excuse me, I'm losing my voice today. I have enough things to talk about that you would be stressed to not have enough time with your audience on this show for us. But there's at least 4 that I'd like to touch on.
Okay.
The first major development for us has been that we have completed an acquisition, a very important one for us, where we brought in a new team, a lot of additional revenues, and a profitable enterprise with great synergy with our business. It would take a whole segment for me to really talk about that in detail, but it's a big deal. We've acquired, the businesses that we've acquired are operating in Colorado and up in the Northeast, and a very strong management team, so that's great. We have also recently launched a national cable TV advertising program, which is a very interesting thing for us in our space. I believe it's the first time that a product, and what we're advertising is our Phototron product line.
Okay.
I believe it's for a product in our particular indoor gardening space. It's the first time that it's really had a serious, you know, national TV advertising campaign. The results, initial results that we have are very interesting and very good. What I would say about it is, the interesting thing to me as the CEO and the guy who watches all the activity is that the day after a lot of our tests ran, the entire team related to Phototron was focused on how can we make more of these.
Interesting, interesting.
And you know, that's good for a company. That's very good for a company.
Absolutely.
We've also had a very it's actually, I think from all standpoints, quite an interesting analyst report that's come out. It was released, I think, close of business Monday, something like that, earlier this week, by the renowned Wall Street analyst Paul Cohen and his grassroots research team. It's like it's a long report, maybe 55 pages. And it provides a good deal of information about the structure of our industry. I think from that standpoint, if people are interested in, I think generally it will be found to be quite fascinating from the standpoint of just drawing out what is this industry and who's involved in it. Fortunately, it also says some very nice things about our company and our direction. And that's available on our website. It's available through Paul Cohen's companies. And you know, we would encourage your audience to take a look.
Well, it's really interesting when we see this kind of analyst coverage about this particular industry. We wouldn't even have thought that could possibly exist even 3 or 4 years ago.
Unthinkable to me. But you know, we get to enjoy a little bit of that limelight as a company, and I think there will be quite a bit more. The last thing I wanted to mention, and oddly enough, it's last. Within the last couple of weeks, we've reported. You know, we're a fully reporting company, so we've reported our quarterly earnings, and on a year-over-year basis, comparing the first quarter of last year to what we did this year, revenues are up like 725%. We're doing well in almost all of our metrics. So we are pushing forward, it's an exciting time for us. I think GrowLife is rocking, as I'd like to think.
As I mentioned at the beginning of the interview, your space is probably one of the most looked at and watched in the last several months. And of course, when that happens, there's going to be a lot of other companies that try to get into the space. They see opportunities. When that happens, there's always some degree of consolidation. Do you see continued acquisition in your plans? Do you see continued growth by acquisition?
It's very likely. We have an active acquisitions program. I mean, we look pretty hard at. Let me give you an example. The group that the Rocky Mountain Hydro Evergreen Garden Center group that we just brought in, we spent almost 2 months working to make sure that we had real good chemistry in our teams. It may be the most important thing. And so it's not a real fast process for us, Don, but there's more consolidation coming in the industry. There are a lot of good opportunities, and we typically at any one time have 3 or 4 that we're thinking about or working on.
Once again, the company is GrowLife Incorporated. GrowLifeInc.com is their website, and their stock symbol is PHOT. Fascinating list, laundry list, I like to call it, of topics on this week's show. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Don. My pleasure.